You hear music?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can't hear the music on my end.
Okay.
I think I'm just waiting for the actual video. I think it says here on StreamYard we are live. I'm waiting for this. There we go. How's the music? Is it quiet right now, or is it?
It's like perfect. It's like a little lower.
Okay.
I think it sounds great.
Got it. Okay, so it's not too loud, not too overbearing.
Yeah, it's like perfect level, just in the background.
Okay. Awesome. So let's get this started. What's going on, everybody? It's DJ MOJOE, and I'm here with DJ Kara. Hope everyone is having a great Tuesday. And today we're going to be talking about our top 3 wedding DJ mistakes and the lessons, of course, that we've learned from them. This is something, I think it's going to be super fun, just being able to just share some of our stories here. But before we begin, we don't know who's watching this so far, but we figured we go live, connect with you all, whichever you guys are doing. But put it down in the chat, whoever is here, just to see, who's here with us today. And don't worry, this is going to be up for the replay. So for anyone who's going to watch this later, you guys are more than welcome to check this out. There we go. We got DJ Noni Entertainment. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in.
What?
Yoni. Yeah. Cool. So we're just getting started. So you guys didn't really miss too much. I got my water with me. Just, stay hydrated out there, everybody.
Yep. I drink my water, but it's okay. I'll drink water after.
So it's 2021, and and just for those people who don't know us, I mean, I've been a DJ for like 10 years or so, and I specialize in weddings, and there's a lot in our journeys, and I'm sure DJ Kara can speak about her journey as well as a DJ and the experience that she has, and we really want to help each other out here. And I think a good way to do it is just sharing our story. And of course, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, anything you want us to answer for you, I'm more than happy to help you out here. But there's some really important lessons that we've learned that we don't want you to make the same mistakes as we did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a costly mistake where, you know what, if you understand this early on, the better off you will be.
Exactly.
So, but before we begin, I mean, I kind of introduced myself. I'm DJ down here in Southern California, specializing in weddings, and I'm a solo op DJ, and I love what I do. And Kara, do you want to introduce yourself maybe briefly, just for those people who don't know you?
Yeah, I'm DJ Kara, also based in Southern California. Been DJing for about 8 years, and I do weddings and all different sorts of events, actually, corporate and also the bars and the clubs and all of that. And I love what I do as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So we're testing this new thing called StreamYard. This is pretty awesome. So that way we can highlight your comments down to the stream, and you guys can see exactly what's going on here. But let's hop into it. So what's going to happen is I'll be sharing a story, something that something that you can learn from, and then Kara will share something, and then we'll go back and forth. Okay, I'm gonna try to fill up this 1 hour packed with value and knowledge for those people who are either just starting out, or who knows, maybe if you're like an experienced DJ, but maybe you learn something that's that you may want to prevent in your other future weddings that you have in the future. So my first story, okay, this was a while back. Okay, this is a big wedding that I've done at and I'm not going to mention any names here or anything like that. It was a big hotel in downtown LA, about 400 people. It was a lot. And back then I only DJ'd, I didn't MC. And I let the couple know about that I'm not the MC as that's really specialized in that. I just, hey, you know what? They love the music. I'll just be the DJ. So what ended up happening was they had their friend who was the MC to be in charge of the 400 guest count wedding. The problem was that he didn't have much experience with weddings. He has a great voice, yes, and I think that's the main reason why they chose him to be the wedding MC. But what ended up happening was during those formalities and the events and everything that's going on, and basically getting everyone's attention like a regular MC would, just before we introduce the wedding highlights and all that. And it wasn't hitting the right spot to actually get people engaged. Even though he has a great voice, but it's the skill of being able to be able to interact. Anyways, so we were in charge, okay, in front of 400 people. Like, we were up on stage, eyes on us, me and someone who, like, yeah, we were talking, but you know, of course, every MC has their own style, but we were trying to work it in. But the thing is, just the fact that he wasn't so experienced with the MC kind of it made it a little bit awkward. Let's put it that way for those moments. So it wasn't as exactly smooth as it should be. So I guess what happened towards the end of the wedding, you know, one thing that I've learned, I got some feedback too, was that people thought that we were a duo, that I'm the DJ and the MC is with me. So it was a bad impression of like, hey, this is what we do. Where in reality, it was just me as the music guy, and then and the MC was just a friend of the couple. Mm-hmm. So one thing I've learned from that, and I mean, it's talking about your branding and your image, right? It kind of cost me, I guess, the image of future business, you know, and just being able to book future weddings, because basically I wasn't in control of the interaction, the MC. At that time, I thought I could get by with just being a DJ, but then I realized, you know what, I really have to learn how to get comfortable on the microphone. So that way, because there was a moment, you know, because he's also a guest, he's a friend, right? So there's a moment where, you know, he got a little bit drunk, and you know, and he just left off and gave everything else to me, you know, because he wanted to enjoy the wedding as well. So what happens then? So at that moment, I wasn't that very interactive on the microphone, unfortunately. And so that kind of cost me, like, I wasn't that skilled enough to actually keep the party going. Or if I did speak on the microphone, I was a little bit nervous. I wasn't to where I am like today. And so it hurted me just thinking about the potential business or you know, things that I could have gone from that wedding, and the impression and basically the word of mouth and the raving, you know, reviews and all that, when, you know what, people didn't realize that, you know, the MC wasn't, it felt like it was a reflection on my service and everything. They think that we were due, but when actually we're not. And the thing is, most of reality, people don't really know that. They're just like, hey, you know what, I see two people there. And so that really hurted me in terms of the business side. So I've learned, I definitely recommend for those DJs who are just starting out as DJ, which is totally fine. But, you know, one thing is that I've learned is you're missing out so much opportunities, not only, you know, business, because of course people want an MC as well, because you have more control of your crowd. You know, one is like you're missing out on the control aspect of it. You can't control, you know, depending on who the MC is, you know, they're in charge, and if they don't do it, the whole show goes south almost. I mean, based on that. And then two, I think that, you know, your image and brand, because people think when it's a DJ MC, they think you guys are together. And, you know, you're really putting the fate of the event. Like, if you're paired up with an MC, they better know what they're doing. And it's better to ask important questions on who that MC is. What kind of experience do they have? Are they a friend? You know, and how comfortable on the microphone? Like, do they know that I mean, I recommend, this is a once in a lifetime event. You know, not only do they are great on the mic, but they also have some kind of stage presence and a way to get people engaged and know how it all works. So that was a cost from my end for not knowing how to MC. And you know, it's ever since then, I really took the initiative to do something about it, to actually get comfortable with the microphone, because not only you can demand more money, but you can also control the crowd better and look better in front of your audience that, hey, you know what, this guy does it all, you know, or you have a separate MC who you trust that actually does have the experience. So that way both of you can look good and help get more business. So that was one of my mistakes. I lesson learned, like at that time, I was so happy, like beginner DJ. Yeah, let's do it. 400 person wedding. Let's do it. Oh, you already have an MC. Perfect. No sweat. I don't have to worry about it. That was the initial thought about like, oh yeah, it's going to be so much easier on my end, but at what cost? So that was super important to me. And I mean, we can talk about, ways to become a better MC. Maybe that's a different video I would love to share with you, but it just hurts for me because I feel bad a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I know it could have been better, but at that time, I was giving it my all at the same time, but I knew there could be something more. And me realizing that, whose fault was it? It was me. Because if I knew how to MC, they didn't have to resort to their friend, where I can actually have better control and they can trust me that I'll be in charge and taking care of them throughout the whole night. So hope you enjoy that story. And we can talk about this topic a little bit too, about, MC and getting on the mic a little bit. We got someone, hey, what's up? DJ T Babs. Interesting story. I just learned from this now. I'm still nervous on the mic. Oh yeah. Hey, no problem. I was super nervous. Like, and I'm sure Kara can test about too. Maybe we can share like our lessons about on the microphone, but we all started from somewhere. And the reason why we're sharing this video, like our mistakes, is because, hey, we used to be in your shoes. We 100% used to be in your shoes. And, it just makes sense, that we can share our stories here that, just to be real for a moment, that we're just like you. And, you really have to learn from this to actually do something about it. So that way you don't have to have the same experience that I did and feel bad.
Exactly.
And then another comment here. See, this is a great thing about StreamYard. You guys can actually see the comment. I could put it up here on screen so you guys can see what's going on. I like that to see the video. Okay, perfect. Yeah, maybe next time we'll make a video about getting more comfortable on the microphone.
That's a great topic. I think, because it's definitely easy for a DJ to shy away from the mic. But once you have that skill, I mean, like Joe said, like you really can have more control over your brand if you can really get that skill. It's easy to be like, because I would have been in the same situation where I'm like, yes, they have an MC. I don't have to worry about it. But it definitely does take away from you and what you're going to be able to bring, to the event. So hopefully we can make a video for y'all.
Yeah. And DJ T Bab streaming on Twitch has helped me talking to the mic. Oh, that's perfect. See, that's a great platform.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, actually, that I noticed that when I go live, it helps like staying in practice when I'm on the mic going live during this kind of COVID time. So that makes a lot of sense. That's awesome.
And then DJ Joe Funk. Hey, what's up, DJ Joe Funk? Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to this talk again. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Just to reset really quick, I'm DJ MOJOE. I'm here with DJ Kara. About every 2 weeks, we go on live on YouTube, just sharing our thoughts, different topics that we would just love to share with you guys. And here we just want to share our top 3. Doesn't mean that's the only 3, but just top 3 that, that we could think of that we want to share with you, some lessons that we've learned from our past mistakes. So that way you don't have to do the same.
Yeah.
And we just talked about basically MC, and learn, and the reason why it's important to have that skill with you. But anyways, now it's Kara's turn. Kara, I'm excited to hear your story. What's something that you've learned in your past that you want to share?
Yeah. So the story that I have is it's one of my first weddings that I DJ'd on my own, and it was at a venue in LA, and I'm feeling good, confident, going into it, feeling, like I got this because, at this point, I'd done a few weddings, I'd killed it. And so I was feeling very confident going into this one. Set everything up. And so this was a situation at this particular venue where we had the ceremony, and then everyone goes inside for the cocktail hour, and then everyone comes back out for the reception. So the ceremony, so basically during cocktail hour, it was a situation where they would actually flip the venue to be able to be the reception area. So it went from ceremony to reception area during the cocktail hour. So it was a situation like that. And so I come in, I set up for the ceremony, and everything runs perfectly. And then, they go inside for cocktail hour, and they ask me, hey, can you move your setup to a different area just over there, because this is where the dance floor is going to be. This is actually going to be a place for a table, so we can't have you here. So I was like, cool, yeah, let me go ahead and move over there. Not a big deal, pretty easy to move. I had an assistant with me, so it wasn't like too difficult of a situation. And then, so I set up over there, and grand entrance happens right after that. And of course, I get ready for the grand entrance, get ready to talk. And of course, play the music at the same time. Grand entrance is a lot bigger than a ceremony. Once you really get to the dancing and the music, once it's, blasting, it's a little bit different from the ceremony music because it's a lot louder. And also you're on the mic while the music is playing. So it's a lot more power coming from your system. And I didn't really realize that I had to be aware of the different outlets that I'm plugging in my system into, which is actually really important. At each venue, every outlet might be used might be used by another vendor. Maybe it's used for lights. Maybe it's used for the chef for cooking. And I wasn't aware of that. And so I didn't test my system during the cocktail hour. I didn't blast it because I was like, oh, it's cocktail hour is going on. I don't want to blast it. I'm gonna keep it kind of low. It works. It's all good to go. So of course, when I get to the grand entrance, get ready to talk. All right, everybody, let's welcome Stephanie, and I forget the guy's name, but I forget. Anyway, let's welcome them, and then blasting it, and of course, power goes out.
Oh gosh.
This was a pretty embarrassing situation, but this really did happen. And so I'm of course like, what is going on? And I'm I'm confident at this point. I got it. I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, what? I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, is it my outlet? Is it my surge protector? Is something going on with the power? And at that point in my DJ career, I actually didn't realize that there was different amps for different plugs. And so I spent, we ended up, thankfully they had a house system. And so we ended up using the house system for the grand entrance, and we had to switch it over. It was pretty embarrassing, to be really honest, because the power kept on going out, and you can't use your mic when the power goes out. So it's like all out, and then you're like, hello, and no one can hear you. And so you're like, ah. And so that is actually what happened. But yeah, so anyway, that happened. And of course, I was able to plug into the house system, and we got the grand entrance under control, and we were able to kind of fix everything. And during the dinner services, I was able to figure out, the different amps. And anyway, it was a success. It was a great wedding. It was awesome, but that was such a learning curve. And I actually ended up figuring it out with the coordinator and figuring out, oh, I need to actually be plugging into here. And this is where the DJ typically plugs in at this particular venue. And at the beginning, I didn't ask that question. And that's just something that I learned, is that when you go to any particular venue, you should be asking about which plugs should you be plugging into, and if it's being used by another vendor, if it's being used by lighting, used by the chef or anything, you don't want to be in that same outlet, because the power might not be sufficient once you start blasting the music, which is kind of hard to test, because sometimes you're testing the music and you're keeping it kind of low, but you want to be able to blast it, of course, because once we get into dancing and once we get into the actual party. So that was something that I learned. I didn't actually know that there's a difference. And so now, going into every wedding, of course, that is one of the first things that I'm checking for right when I get to the venue, and asking the venue coordinator, the coordinator that's there, which outlet. And of course, it might be different if you're at a private residence, but even asking them, hey, is the lighting on this same outlet? We need to make sure it's different. And that's something that's really important, just to make sure that your power is not going out during the grand entrance, which, I learned the hard way, but it was a really, really good learning curve for me. Yeah, that's my story.
Yeah. I would be scared too when the power goes out. And there's different ways, right, to prevent that. What other things do you think you could have learned from this experience besides that? Anything else?
And when you're in this, of course, keeping your cool. I think this was such a situation that kind of definitely it was, like I said, I was a beginner. It was one of my very first weddings. And so having the situation, learning to keep my cool. And I think I did it. Of course, I was like very nervous, but keeping it cool, I think that was something I kind of had to figure out because because of course there's everyone there. There's a client that hired me. They want to be, confident that I'm going to be able to figure out whatever is going on, because obviously, like with them, they could see that something was happening. But kept my cool and was able to kind of be okay in the situation, even though on the inside I was freaking out, trying to figure it out. But I think that's another thing that I had to learn was that, hey, I can't show the anxiety because then that will make them more anxious as well. And I have to kind of keep my cool to so that they're confident in me and trust that I'm going to be able to figure this out and be able to, get out of the situation and be able to deliver a successful wedding. And so that was something I learned on the job, but it was still, like I said, an event that I'm actually looking back, like, this client was very nice, very understanding. And, thankfully for that. So it was a situation where, the wedding was great at the end. They danced, they had a great time. I was able to kind of redeem myself. And so it ended up being a success, but it was also a good thing for me to learn and kind of go through. So then I knew, all right, this can happen. And now I know how to get through a situation like this. And I know how to prevent situations like this from happening.
That's awesome. And you know what? And I like the important aspect. Like, yeah, we all do make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
But then keeping your cool at, whenever that happens is so important, because yeah, you're right. We are the face of the event and people are looking up to us just to make sure, hey, are things cool? If the DJ is cool, shoot, everything is cool.
Exactly.
If the DJ is looking like he's like stressing out, he's panicking, I hate it when it happens where like something happens and then after that, like first one person comes up and then a second person comes up to the DJ booth and then a third person comes up to the DJ booth. We're all trying to figure this out. It looks like there's something going on.
Yeah, exactly.
When there shouldn't be, right? So keeping your cool applies with anything. Like the things that we're sharing with you here today. Definitely keep your cool. But in terms of going back to your story with, I think the power distribution and just trying to figure that out. Yeah, I could definitely see why. Especially for it depends on the venue too, right? It's kind of especially for those historical venues where the power is kind of unreliable. It's good to know that ahead of time.
Yeah, it's definitely something you have to keep in mind at every venue, because it could be any plug could not have the right amount of amps. So that's exactly the situation. It was just like, hey, DJs never plug into this outlet because it doesn't have sufficient power. They plug into this one, and I didn't know to ask that question. And so when I moved it over, I didn't change the power. So yeah.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for sharing that, Kara. And some people, hey, for those people who are tuning in or here with us here today, thanks for tuning in. I'm DJ MOJOE, got DJ Kara. We're just sharing with you our story, so that way, our stories in the past as DJs that could have been improved on, could have been better. These are our mistakes that we've learned, and we're passing that knowledge to you, so that way you don't repeat the same mistakes.
Exactly.
But keep it active in the chat. We love to interact with you guys. So I shared a story, Kara shared a story, and now it's going to go back to me. I'm going to share with you my second experience that that you can learn as well. But let's go in the chat. Let's see. We got Jamie. Says Jamie, my last wedding I did during the father-daughter dance, the father of the bride was so drunk he could barely stand. Oh no, I felt so bad for my bride. He was acting. Hey, you know what? There's a lot of things that happens on weddings. Yeah, we see a lot from at these weddings. I could tell you stories about that too. That's what we experience as DJs, and how we handle it is so important too. Besides the music, right? And going back to my first lesson as an MC, it's up to you how you want to handle that situation and to kind of control the energy where, if things look bad, spin it into a positive light. Okay. That's my little tip right there. As a little MC thing. And definitely I do want to make an MC video. I think that'll be really great. I know a lot of DJs. You think so too, right? Yeah. We should do that.
I think we should do it. That should be like a topic we should do soon.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Hey, maybe if we get like 10 likes or something in this video,
Yeah.
okay, we'll do it. All
Yeah.
right, we'll do that. Cool. We got some more people tuning in. So, and it's really cool. We're in StreamYard. So every now and then, as we're going through the lessons, and just to recap, because I know people are watching at different times, as you can see down below, Kara, can you see that? There's a scrolling text down below in the video. Hopefully, you can see that on the
know how to MC
on YouTube. Yeah. Do you see that? So
are you taking notes?
Yeah. I'm taking notes as you speak, Kara.
I'm
speaking notes to see this. Yeah. So that way, we can really benefit here. Yeah, this is the power of StreamYard here. So we're doing that.
It. Nice.
Oh, awesome. We got Jason Jedi. What's up, Jason? Thanks for tuning in, man.
Thank you all.
Just getting started. Yeah. So yeah, this is so awesome that we're able to have a platform. Really want to keep this interactive in the chat. Really want to help you guys out, sharing our experience with you. So so we've gone by 2 stories so far, and story number 3. All right, my turn here. So, we got Jeff, by the way. Let me highlight this. Good to see you, Jason, Jana. Yeah, there we go. Before I share my story, let me go through the comments. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. Jeff says, "Hey, good to see you, Jeff." And DJ Joe Funk. I always ask about power distribution. One gig I didn't, and when I plugged in my monitor and turned it on, the speaker made a weird noise and it fried. Yikes, man.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that's
super important.
That's rough. Wow, I haven't seen that happen. So it was wow, because of the power. Wow.
So say lesson learned, right? So that's the thing. Like, it's not just us sharing stories of what we learned. Feel free to put it down in the chat about what experience you've had that your lessons. I mean, this is, hey, we're not just a DJ who plays music, right? We do so many other things. We're like the sound guy, the technical side, the music, the MC. There's so many aspects, in a particular event that we're in charge of, that everything needs to go well.
Exactly. There's things that are overlooked, I think. And so that's why we're trying to bring this up. So those things that could be overlooked aren't overlooked anymore.
Exactly. Cool. And then we got DJ Bar. Yo, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we're excited to be here and just sharing our stories. Hope Jason, you guys, and DJ Bar and Jeff and Joe Funk, everybody here for tuning in. So just to reset the room really quick, and then we'll go into our next story here. I'm DJ MOJOE again, DJ Kara. We're sharing some stories, and you can put it down. You can see in the video, there's a scrolling text kind of recapping of what we talked about. So there's so many lessons, but we're just, I guess, sharing the top 3 that comes into our mind. So I shared one, Kara shared one already. And then now for number 2, the second story that I have to share with you is about a bridezilla that I've encountered. And this was years back, guys. All right. Like, I've learned a lot, and we're just showing our humble beginnings. And here is super important to realize. So first of all, you wouldn't realize someone's a bridezilla until later. And sometimes you won't really realize it until, things are going well, but there's something very particular about it that doesn't hit you till later on. And that's what happened to me. And one thing that what made things upset, and this is regarding music. My first story was more about the MC. Now this one's about the music. I wasn't very clear. So what happened? The bride gave me a list of songs that she wanted me to play. And I was sure, I'll do it, right? And this is years back. I was like, I'm very accommodating. Yes, it's your wedding. I'll do what you want. At the wedding, I played as many songs as I can that's more appropriate. Of course, you're going to have your dance music that's, upbeat, something for everybody. And then you're going to have like your dinner music, your cocktail hour music. What she gave me was not so much dance music, but more toned down dinner music. And what ended up happening was there were moments where, like, as a DJ, I have to not only play the songs that the couple want, but also what the crowd wants too. I didn't know at that time that she wanted me to play all of those songs. Like, they were super important to her. And the problem that I ran into was that everyone is asking for different kinds of music. People wanted to dance. And the thing is, one, she didn't give me enough songs to last the whole night. And she really wanted those songs.
Wow.
And it was like either, okay, do I go for the bride or do I, I mean, there are songs like I could still play, but it's going to ruin the moment of what I'm trying to achieve here. And that was the tricky part. So there was that. And I didn't know, like people coming up to me, I'm dealing with drunk guests. I had no assistant. It was just me. That was a tricky part too, dealing with everything that's going on. And then dealing with the coordinator, and she's like, she really wants you to play her list. And like, it freaked me out because like, I normally know what I'm doing. But in this case, it kind of threw me off just because I didn't know, it wasn't very clear that she really wanted me to play only from that list.
Mm-hmm.
And that hurts because a lot of people are asking for hip hop and all that. Yeah. But one, there's not enough songs on her playlist to last me the whole night. So I have to play music that I think will work for the crowd. And they dance, but the bride wasn't happy. I was like,
what? Oh, yeah. That's tough. That
was tough, right? And then, so now only I think the bride was a bit shy or embarrassed to come up to me, like to only play music. And the coordinator had to come up. It's like, okay, this is really bad. So I think people still had a good time just because they were drunk. And every now and then I did play their music because that's the only thing that fits that moment, because everything else will kind of kill it because it's not the exact dancing music, like that she wanted me to play. Because what ended up happening, okay, was we had this talk, like I think the day after, or I think afterwards, I forget when, but I did refund some, like partly just to say, hey, how can we work this out? I really apologize for that. And that's something, I had no idea. I could have complained, like I could have explained, like, I didn't have enough songs. I didn't have this, but you know what? What's done has been done. And I took a mental note that next time, what I should be doing is make it clear of basically understand their expectations at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. So every time I have a consultation with a couple, I let them know about the music. Hey, we're DJs, you have to talk, explain to them how it works. Because a lot of couples, they want you to play their kind of music, their style, but sometimes, they want to leave some aspects up to you. Mm-hmm. And that part of the communication wasn't very clear. So now I communicate. That's why it's so important to actually talk to your couples to actually understand, hey, if this is the right fit. Because if they just want me to play music from their list, then they could just got an iPod. What am I here for? But they have to understand what your responsibility is and how important your job is. And I should have brought up those kind of scenarios and problems up, so that way they can kind of understand where I'm coming from. And that way, it kind of shows me, hey, okay, wow, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So that way they can kind of trust me a little bit more just because of my experience.
Yeah.
So that was really tough. I think I refunded like $100 afterwards, which wasn't like that, like a whole lot, but it was something that, she understood. And the funny thing was, before her wedding day, she recommended me to DJ her friends. So not only did I DJ her wedding, I also DJ her friends, I think a few months later.
What?
So, and
still hired, like they still hired, well, because it was like already coming up, or
yeah. Okay. So they already like booked me. Okay. So this wedding that I was talking to you about, like it was already happening, and then they already introduced me to their friends, and I already booked their wedding as well a few months later. So this one I bombed, right? Like it didn't go well, right? And I was like, oh shoot, the next wedding I have to do has to be like the best. Okay, I have to make it up. Like I have to show that I know what I'm doing, right? So the wedding who I did the second wedding, her friend's wedding, she was there, right? Like I don't want to say bridezilla, but the one who's very unfortunate happened to her. And I really apologize if she's watching this, but but I don't think she's a bridezilla. I think it was just that pressure, like the expectations. Anyways, she was at her friend's wedding. A few months later, I was there.
Yeah.
And I crushed that wedding. It was like super fun wedding. And then she was there like this with her husband, like kind of like disappointed, because she didn't have like that same experience. But yeah, that's the important thing. Like it shows we are great at what we do. Yeah. And the thing is, there's several factors that come into play that can make an event like the super best it can be, but you just have to like lay all the cards on the table, understand the expectations. But I'm kind of glad I redeemed myself that second wedding, her friend's wedding that he attended, to show that, hey, I at least know what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
And it's
like,
not,
yeah.
Did she, so basically she just like sent you a playlist and that was it? She didn't like say anything? She was just like, here you go.
Exactly.
She didn't even like say anything. She didn't say, I want all these songs to be played.
Yeah. So yeah, she didn't say that.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. So hope everyone like learned that lesson. But I do want to give highlight some stuff on the chat here. DJ Joe Funk says, DJ Bar, what's up? Jeff says, yeah, that's tough. DJ Bar says that's tough. And then really quick, I'll go back to all the comments. I'm gonna give you guys a shout out. Hey, Low Stacks, what's up, dude? Thanks for tuning in. Jeff's good thoughts. Angel Rivera, hey, thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys are enjoying the story. Jeff says, oh man, we are being graced by the YouTube Johnson. I love it. That's all. Hey, thanks everybody. Let me go back up here. Okay, this is going back to your second story with Kara. Luckily, never had an electrical issue yet, knock on wood. But from all the suggestions of the YouTubers, I got an electrical usage monitor, and that has helped greatly. Perfect. Yeah, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay. Wow. And then Jim says, how was she the next day? Was she still mad? I think so. I think she was able to understand, like, we were trying to make things up. I mean, obviously back then I wasn't charging my premium rate. Like, I was still a beginner DJ. So I mean, like, I know what I'm doing, but like, I'm still learning. It's just crazy thing. You're learning so much as a DJ. Now I've learned that. So I guess she was still mad, but she, we come to an understanding. She was happy with some money back. Like, I think her guests still had a good time. I think it was just that particular moment where her songs didn't really get played as she hoped for. That wasn't very clear. And then let's see, Jim Sargent tried to explain that we are hired for a reason. Let us do our job. Yep. We can make it really fun for everyone. That's exactly right. Right.
Yeah, that is right.
And then DJ Joe Funk agrees with him. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, and I'm gonna put it down in the scrolling text down below what the summary of this was. Basically, have clear communication with your clients about the music expectations. Hey, do you want strictly play, only the music on your list? What happens if you run out of the songs on your list? Are we able to be flexible and incorporate what we think works best from our past experience? And just be open up with them and making sure that it's a good fit and making sure your boundaries are. Because here's the thing. Let's say you did take this event where you only play the songs from their list. Let's say, hey, you know what? Super easy gig, super easy event. I'm just going to play from the list. Why not? Right? They gave me all their songs and they only want me to play songs from this list. The downside, if things go south, what happens? Like, in the flexibility. And also, don't forget, like, there's a lot of people there, right? So it kind of looks bad on you on that list. Like, hey, yeah, you really have to look at that list and say, hey, are these great songs for a wedding? Like, to that incorporate everybody. So I guess you're kind of risking that factor, that your limitation, because the music, if you're hoping to get more, I guess, bookings, because you want everyone in that room to feel amazing. And usually that happens when you play their songs that they can vibe to and get on the dance floor, and they can correlate the good music to you. But if you're only playing music that, doesn't really fit the mood because of the requests from the bride, it could take away the opportunity to actually showcase your skills and your creativity and your song selection. So, I mean, personally, now I learn, like, if I encounter that again and they only want me to play their music, although it's super easy, I wouldn't do it just because that's not my brand. And I don't want to be that kind of DJ that does that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, those situations have happened to me before as well. And like, I mean, yeah, I feel like it's just something just to even talk with them about, like, hey, this is just letting you know I have experience. This kind of music is great, but it doesn't really work as well, just from my experience. I normally ask how is their crowd? Are they going to actually like this? And then I suggest, like, if it's slower mid-tempo, I'll say, like, let's just put this in dinner. Like, can we please just like put this at a different place? Or can we put this in cocktail hour, put this in pre-ceremony, like anywhere else? Because, it might not be the wedding that you imagine. And I try to, like, my very best to get out of situations like that, because that has happened. I mean, similarly, not as like specific with the bride, the bride and exactly that, like one specific wedding, but similarly. And yeah, it is something that I think DJs will always, kind of run into those situations where couples are very, a bit more particular, but I think getting out of it, really just making sure you communicate, like literally what you're saying. But I just wanted to second that, like communicate, and try your best to kind of get out of that, because it really can mess up your brand. It really can. I've done a wedding just like that, where they told me and I just followed what they said and I played every single song, and it was just so bad. It was just like, it was so like, I remember so many guests coming up to me asking me to play requests, and I was like, nope, sorry, no one dancing. And it was just, and even the couple wasn't, and it was just like, you guys put all this restraint on me. I can't do anything. And I felt bad after driving home, like, oh, I did a horrible, like, even though it wasn't really my fault, I just felt like it just wasn't representing me at all. So try your best to not have to be in a situation like that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, Joe Funk says, true. If you stick to the list, guests think it's your playlist and wonder why you don't play something else. Yep. They don't know. See, people are there. They're just enjoying the night, and they don't really understand exactly how it all works. So it does really correlate to you. Comes down to it. So that was our third story. That was my second story. Kara shared her first story about power distribution. Now back to you, Kara.
Yeah. All right.
Share your story. What's next?
Well, my next one is kind of not a specific story, but it's just something that happened a few times when I was first starting off, and it was something that I had to kind of figure out. And that was a speaker placement. And I think, so a lot of different venues have like different, obviously different acoustics, different the way that they're set up. And a lot of times they put the DJ, like, let's say, on a stage. And you have like a certain way that it's built. And a lot of times, for me, when I was first starting off, I like to just put the speakers right next to me, easy peasy, just boom, boom. I didn't have an assistant, so I was just like, I'm making it real easy for myself. And then it get to the like later in the night, let's say toast, and the way that my speakers are set up, they're not able to hear, like wherever the back table is, they can't hear. And so then I'm blasting it, and then we're getting feedback. And then it's just basically a big old mess when it comes to sound throughout the venue because of acoustics, because, every single venue is different. And so, after a little while, I kind of learned that, hey, this speaker placement really, really matters. And so, then I started testing and making sure I'm blasting the music as I'm testing when I get to the venue as loud as it can go, because you never know. And standing as far as I could to make sure that I could hear. And it took, figuring out where the speakers would be placed the best. And a lot of times it's, if you're in a venue and you have like, I didn't know this, but like if you have like, if you're on a stage, for example, and you have the speakers next to you, it's not going to travel in the same kind of a way. It's not going to be, you're going to have to like blast it for like the person way over there to hear. It does something weird. I don't really understand acoustics that much, but I learned that, oh my God, this does something to where they can't actually hear. I can hear it. It's actually blasting in my ears right now. And that's like horrible. It's like, I need the earplugs, but they can't hear all the way over there. So I learned that speaker placement when it comes to weddings is so important, and like be sure to like test the speakers when you arrive after you set up, and blast it. Like, don't be shy, blast it, talk on that mic, even though I know it's kind of embarrassing to be like, hey, when people are all getting set up, but do it, blast it, so that that the guests are going to be able to hear you, especially when it gets into toast, especially when it gets into grand entrance. When those times when you want them to be able to hear. I mean, toasts are so important, and you want everyone to be able to hear clearly. So that's something that's really important. But in the beginning, I couldn't really, I was such a beginner. I didn't really no, oh, we need to move the speakers out there so that it actually works better. So over time, I figured it out. I was like, okay, this is it. So that was, I don't know, that was a big kind of another learning curve for me, was speaker placement when I was first starting off. And I know it's annoying to have to move the speaker really far away and have to wire it and tape it. And like, it can be really annoying and a lot more work, but it is important because you don't want the father of the bride's speech to happen and no one can hear. And that doesn't look good, and you don't want that comment coming from the bride, So yeah, that's one of my mistakes that I would make when I first was starting off.
Let me ask you, Kara, like, how often does that happen to you though? I guess having trouble with
usually in the beginning, it was happening whenever I would be at a stage or something like that. And so it's mainly like those type of setups where it's like the stage, or like you have like, because I don't know, there's a lot of venues that have that sort of setup where the DJ goes over there and it's like up on this like area. And so in the beginning, I would just think, okay, let's just put the speakers. This is perfect. It's a perfect area for a DJ with 2 speakers. And I didn't realize that when you do that, it takes away, the acoustics are really weird when you do that. And people can't hear the way that you can hear. And I kind of at the time wanted the speakers to be behind me because I wanted to be able to hear the mix a little bit better. So it was kind of like I wanted that. And then, and also I wanted it to be an easier job for me to like set up. And so that was the reason why I was doing it. But then I realized after like the first time, I think, it took me like a little while to kind of realize like what it was. I would get kind of comments like, it's too low, turn it up, like during the speech. And I'm like, okay, like, let me turn it up. And it's like blasting in my ear. I guess, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I was like, oh, it's this. This is why they can't hear. And so then I realized it and started having just to be like, and sometimes I even have an assistant that comes with me and they'd be like, okay, yeah, let's put the speakers right behind you. And I'm like, actually, no, we got to move it in front. I know it's like you would think that it goes right here, but we really can't do this because of the way that the venue is built. But yeah, a lot of times it happens when you're like, it's hard to explain it, but it's basically when you have like some sort of covering over wherever the DJ is, where it's like covered and then it goes up. Does it make sense, Joe? Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Hopefully everyone over here understands like what I'm saying in terms of the way that this venue is. These types of venues are, where it's just basically you have a stage or you have something where the venue has like a thing over this and it looks like it would be great for the DJ area, but it's actually like, you probably should.
Yeah. You know what? Like what you brought up is super important. Not a lot of people take importance of the sound. Yeah, we're great DJs in terms of like the music, but the thing is, how is the music being experienced in the sound? So speaker placement is important. And I think you mentioned that you've learned to put your speakers in front of you.
Yeah.
Right? So that way it won't be like blasting too loud. But I think one of the things you said is something about the being able to hear the music. Sometimes when you place the speakers in front of you, it's really hard to hear your mix clearly.
Exactly.
So, I mean, one thing that I found that works well is like having a monitor too, right next to you, so you can actually hear your mix. So your mix will be cleaner. But yeah, no, sound reinforcement is super important. For those people who don't really know, like it really depends on your venue. A lot of people. I get a lot of questions. Hey, are these speakers good for 250 people? I mean, I know I might go to a slight tangent, but we're talking about speakers and a sound. And it's really hard to give you an exact answer on what speakers you should use, really, because everyone has different preferences. That's the thing. But in terms of sound, like especially for a wedding, people want to be able to hear the announcements, so that way you have better control of your audience and also be able to hear the speeches. Because if the people in the front can only hear the speeches and they're very attentive to what's going on, but the people in the back, they can't hear everything going on, they're going to talk over themselves and it'll just be a mess.
Exactly.
So those are the consequences if you don't really have proper sound. Exactly. So and it's not just this kind of speakers. Yeah, they cover 250 maybe for dancing, but think about the room acoustics. And we're talking, if you really want to have a balanced sound, instead of blasting everything from the front, I mean, we can also distribute more speakers on the side or in the back, so that way the people in the back can actually hear what's going on.
Exactly.
So yeah, so one thing and I think this is something important, but not a lot of couples understand this. And who knows, maybe for all the DJs out there, just something to consider is incorporate that into your marketing somehow. I've done that with my couples, so that way they understand that, they have to understand the problems with, like, we're not just the music person, we're not just the MC, we're also the sound person. So, and if you can show that your knowledge about that and your expertise regarding sound as well into your marketing, but actually you have to show the problems with it and how you fix that.
You fix it, yeah.
That can like elevate you even more.
Exactly.
Like, oh wow, that's another aspect I didn't really think about. I trust this person more to actually handle that kind of event. And this is how you were able to have, and once people understand like how the sound is experienced and how it affects them, like this is also important, just so then they understand what it takes to have a successful wedding.
Yeah.
And but anyways, I mean, solutions that we can think about here is, depending on the room, maybe what you just understand the acoustics, right? And see what you need.
And like, just make sure that you're, one of the best tips that I got was, hey, when you get there, blast it. Like, literally, like, try to pretend you're doing the full grand entrance. Just have them stand as far as possible and just really, really test out the sound no matter what, because every venue is different. And so it's kind of hard to even know, like, it is, I'm not a acoustic person or a sound person at all. Like, I'm just a DJ. So for me, I just make sure that with whatever venue I'm at, I'm always being sure to test the sound, but not only just test it, blast it, really test it, and go to the highest level to make sure that people throughout the entire venue are going to be able to hear. So I think that's kind of the best fix, is just being sure to do that and not, and I remember when I was like just starting off, I was a little bit shy about that, because I was like, oh, there's so many people here, and there's all the floral, the coordinator. Like, I don't want to be like all like yelling on the mic and making all this noise. But you're the DJ; that's what you're supposed to do. So it's okay to do that. So I just started doing that every wedding and just blasting it and just making sure that it sounds good. I'm going to get into mic real quick, but also making sure the mic, if you have a wireless, can go as far as, right. Yeah, that's that's a tangent, but that's another important thing.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, hopefully we're dropping some nuggets here for everyone who's tuning in. I want to add two more things to that in the topic of sound. One of them is, I mean, from what going on with you, you'd like to blast the music. I've learned that when I used to work for another DJ company as like an independent contractor for them. That's what they do. And it's like, oh, that's actually pretty smart, because they provide all the equipment. They want me to blast the music for a while, maybe a minute or two, just to make sure the power doesn't go out. And this goes back to your
power,
right? Yeah. Even power. Just making sure that, hey, can it handle it?
Yeah, exactly.
And see how loud can we go, because at least now we know that's the peak. Second thing I want to share, in addition to what you said about sound, I mean, you're more than welcome. I've learned this from church, because I was also involved with my church and basically understanding like the sound as well. It's okay to actually you don't have to stay in your DJ booth. Walk around, understand where some weak points in the room where your sound doesn't reach. In that way, you get to know your speakers and what you can do about it the next time you're at the event, or just knowing more about the acoustics that are. Play the music, walk around, understand what it's like to be a guest experiencing your music. One of the things that I've done before is have my assistant go, actually the assistant is on my mixer board. I walk around and I give that person cues, whether, hey, music needs to go up, music needs to go down. So that way we can kind of have a feel of like, how loud should it be? And Kara, do you have this experience sometimes where like you blast the music and it's loud at first, but then after like a minute or two, it's not that loud? It happened to you?
I mean, I think I've never been like super aware, but that makes sense.
I don't know. I think we just get used to volume.
Because it gets, that's another thing to keep in mind is that when people fill up a room, you do need to be louder. So yeah, like, so it's almost like that's the reason why you blast it, because when you blast it, you're actually, it might feel like it's blasting, but you're actually going to probably need to go a little bit louder, because when it fills up with all the people, it's not going to feel as loud. I think that's like a thing, right? I think that, yeah, it's really a thing. So you're going to have to go a little louder when people fill the room.
Yeah, for sure. So really quickly, let's just highlight some comments here. All right. So, yeah, this is a great guy. Keep it going on the chat. We'd love to hear your thoughts about this. This is something so we can help everybody, all the DJs out here. So Jeff says, absolutely, Kara, sound is so important. Mike speaker said, the sound isn't good. Even the best DJs can be hurt by that.
Yeah.
True.
Oh.
Says, yes, having a basic understanding of sound and physics can really help. Maybe a bit much, but it can make it a better experience.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Damien says, if I'm on a stage, I would like to place my speakers on the floor. Oh yeah.
Way to go. 100%. And the booth.
Maybe those are the monitor speakers, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jeff says, question about sound during a reception. Do you try to fill the entire room with sound or just a dance floor? Okay.
Oh, that's a good question.
What do you think? I mean, we can share our thoughts on this too.
I would say well, okay, we want to make sure obviously it's loud where the dance floor is, and it doesn't necessarily need to be loud if dinner's like way over there. But yeah, I guess I try to fill the entire room, because remember, toasts are going to happen, and toasts are in the dinner area, and like literally, like you want the people for the toast, and toasts are so important. So you want everyone to be able to hear the toast. And I've had situations where, like what I'm describing, where I'm having it up here, and I think it's good for the dance floor, but it's not good for the toast, and that's in a different area. So I would say for the entire room for sure, just to make sure for the toast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, Kara, I definitely agree with you. And it depends too, like, is it fill the room with music, or is it fill the room with, I think it's just an adequate volume enough where people can experience exactly what needs to be heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Like for speeches, yes, the entire room, so people know exactly what's going on. Music, of course, there's going to be some volume differences when you're people who are closer to the dance floor and those people who are in the back. So that way, like louder for the dance floor, so that way people in the back who wants to, maybe just want to talk to a friend, it's not as loud, but they can still hear it. So I think it really depends on.
Probably the way to go for sure.
Frank says it's imperative to do a site survey if possible in person and be aware of dead spots and live echo spots in your room. Yep, placement of rig is very important. True, definitely true.
It is.
Yeah. Thanks, Frank, for sharing that. So just to reset the room real quick, for those people tuning in, thank you so much. I'm DJ MOJOE. I'm here with DJ Kara every other Tuesday or so. We like to go on YouTube live, just sharing our thoughts on different topics, really just to help you guys out. And this is something that, as we've all been in your shoes at one point or another, starting out as a DJ, and we learned the ropes the hard way. And we want to pass on that knowledge to you. So that way you don't have to make the same mistakes that we did when we first started out. So we were talking about, and if you look at the scrolling banners down below, I kind of took some notes as we went along. 1, know how to MC. Okay. 2, know about power distribution at a venue. Keep your cool during any stressful moments. And that applies to all the lessons that we've learned here today. Lesson 3, have clear music expectations with the wedding couple. And basically communicate exactly what they want and making sure you guys are the right fit. And this video, of course, will always be up in the replay, so you guys can go back to it, maybe share with a friend who could also benefit from this. But this video is made for all DJs. I mean, I'm sure we all have stories, and we love to hear some of your stories in the chat as well. And I'll do my best to highlight your comment. I really do, just hearing everybody here, it's so amazing just to see the interaction going on. And then so we shared 2 for 2, right? I shared 2 stories so far. Yep. Kara shared 2, and then we have 2 more. I'll share my last one for now.
1 more each.
Yeah. One for each. So, I mean, put it down in the chat. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Maybe, if you enjoy this, we can have different topics for 2 weeks from now, whether it's about MC. I know some people were interested on just getting used to the microphone, and we can share our trainings and what we've done. And if you still want us to share some of our lessons, we can definitely do that too, and understand in context why it's so important to actually learn these things.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, if you guys ready for my third story, okay. So this was a wedding years ago. Okay, I won't say the venue name or any names are here, but just to give you an idea, this was another big wedding. I don't know what's up with these big weddings that I do, and there's always something that goes down. But yeah, right. Don't get me wrong. I've had many fun, successful weddings, but it's just the moments when there's so many people involved. A lot of things get busy, right? A lot of things happen, a lot of moving parts. And by the way, thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Great information. Keep it going. We will. So there's a lot of moving parts when it's a big wedding, especially in a big room. And in this particular wedding, I think it was 400 people as well. It was a lot.
Wow, crazy big.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I was just in charge of the cocktail hour and the reception. Okay, big room. And that's the downside of big rooms sometimes, is because it is a big room. And something that plays an important factor, I think, is the position of the DJ. Huge. And where I was in this particular wedding, I was in the back corner, okay? And it's really hard. People don't really know where I'm at. And the thing is, it was just me as a DJ and the MC, and I had an assistant too, learning for the first time, like how this all works. So I have many lessons in one story, and I can share with you, okay? I think, for this particular wedding, it's especially for a bigger wedding. If it's a smaller wedding, I think it's okay to maybe bring where you can handle it. Bring someone who's a little bit with smaller wedding. It's okay to bring someone new to show the ropes, to understand, like maybe to help you out with. If it's a bigger wedding, I've learned to really have someone experienced, so that way you're not stressing, you're not teaching on the job.
Yeah,
that's my mistake. That was my mistake. For real. Okay, lesson number 2. So, like I was going back earlier, this is a big room, 400 people wedding. I was in charge of the reception. I was in the back corner. And what ended up happening, well, okay, not back corner, but imagine this is like it's a big rectangular room. The center is where like the head table is, that the bride and groom, and I'm off to the side. And this venue has so much space that the designer of the wedding, they place a whole bunch of florals in front of me.
Okay.
That's really hard for anyone to see that there's a DJ back there. And imagine trying to command the audience. There's so many lessons with this. Oh my gosh. It's with that particular setup, people had a hard time. Like, I had no idea that there was going to be things in front of me that's going to hinder my view of the whole room, of what's going on. I was like, why am I behind? I was literally behind the head table. And I think it was like a V formation. I was like underneath the V.
Okay.
So imagine, I'm looking at my camera here. So like,
so you're like behind the couple? Like
no. So here's a couple, and there's a V formation, if I remember correctly, a V formation of the head table, and I'm back here, and on that V, there's lots of flowers, and so there's a huge separation from me and the dance floor and everybody in the room, because
oh my goodness, you couldn't even see the dance floor.
And here's the thing, my speakers were, by talking about speaker placement, right? Lesson number 4 from you, all right? It was tough, not gonna lie, because my 2 speakers, I had 4 speakers around the room. I had 2 speakers in the front. They were like behind the head table too. So who's going to hear the sound first? The people on the head table before it hits the dance floor. So imagine how loud that's going to be. But then I also had speaker reinforcements on the side. But anyways, what ended up happening was the speaker placement, it was bad, I think, because I didn't know there was going to be anything in front of us. My stage presence, in terms of DJing, no one knew where I was speaking from. Like, there was a point, like, for the grand entrance, I did go out to the front, right? Command the audience. But then the thing is, the person who I was training didn't know much about the mixer board.
So they couldn't play the music.
It was kind of tricky to like balance that out. It's like, oh shoot, we shouldn't have done this live. That was my mistake. Okay. And then yeah, I'm just being honest with you. You know, I'm sharing my weaknesses right here, guys. All right, this is what I have to go through. Yeah, there was a lot going on, so I was kind of stressed, right? And then so that was that. The position speaker's position of me, you know, and just making sure that, you know, whoever I bring actually kind of really has an idea of what we're doing here. And then the fourth, okay, I was working with like a planner, florist, coordinator, and during dinner, it was supposed to be served. Like basically the whole idea was everyone is going to hand out the food. And like, have you seen, I don't know, was it Beauty and the Beast or some Disney movie where they serve all the food at once? I forget what it was, but it's supposed to like be our guest. I think it was a Cinderella.
Yeah,
Beauty and the Beast, right?
Beauty and the Beast, yeah.
So that was how it's supposed to be. Where, hey, you know what? Yeah, super grand dinner entrance with servers going out there in the room serving 400 people, right? Okay, so what ended up happening? People were in the reception site, and the thing is, I was waiting for my cue. The way I like to work is, you know what? The coordinator, the planner is on top of everything normally, okay? And that they know exactly when to get things going, making sure everyone's ready. This coordinator I was working with, and this coordinator, I won't say he or she, this coordinator told me, hey, Joe, like I could tell he was stressing. Okay, I already mentioned he was stressing out. And the thing is, he was stressing out a little bit because he has so many things going on in his mind, but he knew things how to start. But the thing was, back in my mind, look at the timeline, I knew that we had to make sure that everything's ready. Going back to the dinner, we're waiting for everyone to serve those plates because they wanted me to say something very specific to welcome those servers in. Okay. Anyways, jumping forward, grand entrance, you know, first dance, because we have to do things back to back. And he was like, hey, just keep things going. What ended up happening was I had no cue that the dinner service was ready, but the coordinator told me keep going. Right? He didn't come to me saying, stop, the dinner servers are not ready yet. Right? I expected at that time to just keep going. Okay. Hey, they're ready. Like, hey, that's like I told him, are you sure? Are you sure you want to keep going? And it's like, yeah. So what ended up happening was I made this grand introduction, you know, for the dinner servers, like this dinner servers that we're about to experience. And I played Be Our Guest, you know, like to show, you know, it's supposed to mimic that feeling of like, you know, servers rushing in through the doors, start like serving people, right? I made a grand announcement and I played that song to make it epic, right? No one came. No one came through those doors. It was horrible. It was really horrible. And it was awkward. I was like, what's going on? I thought they were ready. Like,
what did you do? What did you do?
See, that's the thing. Like, there's so many lessons. This is why it's my third story, just because there's so many things that could have improved. So I think it was a miscommunication from all of us, right? And, you know, timing was an issue. We were a little bit behind, and I wasn't really informed of that. You know, I just heard from the coordinator, let's keep going.
Yeah.
And there's lessons learned here. And, you know, I come at a humble spot right here, just because I understand for all of us, this is sometimes, you know, it's a learning experience, not just for us, but some of the wedding vendors there too. Right. And how we can really work things to make things better, because it is definitely a team effort. And I think that communication was a bit lacking for sure. And I could go on about like how I see can things improve on, but what I did, I forgot what I did. I think I just like froze, you know what I mean? But I just played music.
Did you do it again? Did you like have to do that again?
Oh no, that would be embarrassing. No, and after that, there came to a point where like I forget what happened. Really, I just like my mind just spaced out. It was like, what the heck is going on here? And it made me look so bad. That's the thing, because you know, and people kind of looked at me because as if it was my fault.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah,
you know, the pressure, because like I announced something, and that's why it's so important, like of the coordination aspect. we have so many roles and a lot of people don't realize it. Like, like we have to work with everybody here. We don't just play the music with MC, but we also have to coordinate things, right? And making sure, like, I knew something was wrong. I should have poked it further. But the thing is, things were like, usually for the beginning of the wedding, so many things were happening back to back. Okay, we had a grand entrance. And then the first dance, and then after that, the announcements of the dinner. And the thing was, there's so many moving parts. It's a big room. And I can't imagine the coordinator keep going back and forth to like let me know what's going on. It's really hard for that communication.
Yeah.
Now lessons learned. Okay, and I'll be really brief so we can get things going and share your last story. But hopefully, I don't know. This was like a nightmare for me. It was not what I was expecting, basically. And there's some other things that happened later in the night, but it wasn't me. Like, I don't know. I think the whole wedding. I don't want to go into too detail, but anyways, a couple of things here in all seriousness, like, and I really take it to heart, and hopefully people here can learn from this. One, okay, understand how the coordinator likes to work, and understand, hey, you know what, this is how I like to work, and this is like, it helps me to do my job when I know exactly what's happening, because I understand things change. And I think it will help me if you or an assistant or someone can let me know exactly what's going on next and making sure things are ready before I announce anything important. Just have that communication. And I think, hopefully, because most of the time they're just hoping that we know what we're doing. And we do. But the timing of things, that's out of control.
Yeah.
I think. I think that's something could be improved on. So that's a lesson for me, is just like, have that open communication with the people you're working with, because if the timing or people don't know what's going on, it could look bad. And going back to what we were saying earlier, you got to keep your cool, right? I was trying so hard to keep my cool, but I mean, there's some point where you can't really help it and just let things go. And because it's such a big room and so many people, I lost that control.
Yeah.
The placement, the things that happened, the awkwardness that happened, I felt bad.
Yeah.
I felt really bad. So I think the communication with the team could have been helped, knowing the position of the DJ beforehand. And it was the first time I ever encountered that, my speaker placement. That was super important, that, I need to know ahead of time where that's going to be. Some planners out there who I work with, they're very particular about that too. So that way they can coordinate with the design team to figure out, how things should look. So that was something lacking. Third, and the couple really wanted to lowball me in terms of my DJ service. And at that time, right, I was a beginner. Like, I knew what I was doing, but like, I'm not a complete expert. I'm not too beginner, but I was like, I don't know, in that middle somewhere. They hired me for like less than 1,000. They negotiated me down, but just because I wanted the gig, like 400 people, that's a lot of people who I can like, if I do a great job, they'll like,
yeah,
or business, whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what I've learned, and this is just, the third story out of maybe a few more that I could say of my past experience, I've noticed that the couples who lowball you or don't really value, who don't really pay you exactly what you're worth in terms of your service, it kind of shows like how important they place on the DJ. Like, don't get me wrong, the wedding was beautiful, right? But I guess they put little emphasis on the DJ aspect. If I had a bigger budget, okay, if I really portray my value and they really charge me for what I'm worth at that time, I could have hired, I could have had better sound equipment. I could have had more to actually use at that wedding to actually even make it better, dealing with that many people. So that was my mistake, is knowing that there's so many people, and I was willing to work at a lower price at that time. That hurts me. That really hurt me.
Yeah.
So just because I was limited, my resources was limited to actually spend more on the wedding day to actually make it the best it could be.
Yeah.
So that was that. But I guess like overall, the couple still had a good time, but like, I mean, just because we've seen so many weddings, like it was missing the mark that it could have been.
Yeah. And you knew it, but they didn't know it, thankfully, but you knew.
I knew. So I've learned a lot from that. I think that's one of the things, but it never happened again. But it's like we always had that one wedding where like things went south
And
and
you learn, yeah.
things you learn. So hopefully,
So
yeah,
second, like the communication with the coordinator. Every coordinator is different. And that is just like, there's going to be coordinators that do that where they go, yeah, just go. And like, they're not fully communicating with you. And you're thinking maybe they're like the last coordinator that did say that and it all went well. But every coordinator is different. And I just say, for me, when I go into it, I just purposely communicate as much as I can. And I just almost like tell them, like, please, like, you have to come over and like literally tell me, give me a go, give me a this, because I don't want to go forward, keep going forward if you're not telling me, because I don't know if it's ready, and make that like super clear. That's how we work. And I think that, I don't know, that's something I've learned. I've definitely worked with different coordinators that aren't communicating with me. And then I do that same kind of situation where I'm announcing dinner or I'm announcing a toast, thinking that, hey, I thought you said that we're going into this now. And, now I feel weird because, dad's not ready. And now I just made this announcement and he's in the bathroom and now I look really dumb. So just communicating with coordinator I was like, love that you brought that up. I was actually going to make this as one of my mistakes in a different way, but more about communication. It's not my mistake. So I have a different one, but I was thinking about this one, the communication with the coordinator. It's so important because remember, every coordinator is like different and they're going to communicate with you differently. So try to make sure that they like make it known how you want to be communicated to for you to do the best job and for you guys to both work together in the best way. And they might not want to like have to do that, but like it just make it clear that like, hey, this is just please, like give me something so that I know for sure it's good to go and I can make this announcement. So
right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't want to continue off with that, but that was just something like hey guys, like we're just sharing with you everything. We're trying to be vulnerable.
We're giving you all this stuff, yeah,
this stuff. But we learned so much, and really want to, we all had our beginnings, and we all have been in our shoes, and it's something that's super important for us to share because that way we can really elevate the industry, to a higher standard, so that way you don't repeat the same mistakes and actually treat and service your clients better. Yeah. That's the end goal here. So that way they can respect us more as DJs and get us pay what we're worth because we knew exactly what we're doing.
Exactly.
I think that's the end goal here. So that's why we're sharing this with you. Frank says, I jacked up prices and now use in-ear communication with the planner.
Oh, that's so smart. Wow. I love that.
Oh, dang. That's awesome, man. That's legit.
That's another level, but that is a good way to go because like, then you're for sure good to go and you know exactly what's going on. I love that. I wonder how much it would be to invest in that because I'm sure that's so helpful.
A floor manager, I like that term. It's like not just an assistant; it's a floor manager. Hey, what if your people is your floor manager? So that's actually really smart. I like that, and I do appreciate you sharing that and those people who are interested. But
I love that
intercommunications, that's awesome, and I definitely can see that at a bigger wedding. I've noticed like that is the main issue when it's a bigger wedding. It's just that. And some planners out there, they have like a whole team, 3 people, 4 people, they're on it because they have a lot of things on their mind that they have to kind of distribute like the workload to make sure everything is smoothly. But thanks, Frank. I really do appreciate that, sharing that. So we just shared our 5th story. That's my 3rd one on my end. And Kara shared 2. Oh, Frank says this is after a photography missed the keys.
Oh, yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So just to reset the room, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I mean, we've been here for about an hour and 18 minutes, and we're still going on. And we have our last story from DJ Kara. And then maybe open up for like a brief Q&A, and then we'll call it a night. But we are here almost every other Tuesday night, going over different topics, just sharing our stories as DJs, and really want to help you guys out. In this particular video, we're sharing our DJ mistakes that we've made in the past, because obviously we've been there, done that. And this way you exactly know what to do next time around when you do have your weddings and events, so that way you don't repeat our mistakes. And really trying to help everybody out here so that we can all raise the standard as DJs, so that we get respected more, get paid more, and just look more professional in front of your guests. So we're open to any other Q&A. We love the interaction in the chat. Keep that up. If you enjoyed this video so far, give us a thumbs up on the YouTube or put down something in the chat, or to comment down below for the YouTube algorithm to boost us up. Share this with a friend who could benefit from this. Let us know what next topic you want us to talk about in 2 weeks from now. But in the meantime, DJ Kara, last story of the night. Share what you got.
Okay. So I had a wedding. Again, when I was as a beginner, this client was I don't want to say a bridezilla, but like just a little bit more of a difficult client. But it's fine. So I went to the wedding. I thought I had prepped, and I prepped, how you prep all your music, you get all the songs. And I have, a hard drive with a ton of my cousin actually gave me a hard drive with a ton of really old music that I had, and I had, basically used that plus my current hard drive, which was all the newer stuff. Anyway, so I had access to a lot of older music that I would, have that I'd bring to weddings, and I'd prep with it and, use that music for especially weddings, because weddings, a lot of times you're going to be playing older music, stuff that, parents might like, a lot of those classics. And so I prepped for the wedding, fully, and thought I was good to go, had all the important songs all ready to go. I kind of have it in like in a crate, and I had it all ready to go. And I believed I checked through all the songs. I played through all of them, made sure they were working. And we're at the wedding. The wedding's a little tough. Like I said, the bride is, not like, basically the bride, it was just like, wedding, and the bride didn't like love me, but also, didn't hate me. It was just kind of like I was there. They hired me and I was there. And so get through the wedding. It seems to be okay. I'm doing all right. The dance, the crowd was great. They all danced. And we get to the very last song. And I remember, typically I remember the songs that I'm like, all the special songs, like because there's only like a few, and I kind of remember which ones they're going to be going with. And so I keep them normally in a crate. Like I said, I had prepped the crate, but I remembered the song. So I just typed in the song and found it. It was American Pie, that like, my Miss American Pie. So it was that song. And so like I said, I had a hard drive with a bunch of older music, and it was like an older hard drive my cousin had given to me. And so I just quickly found that song. Remember, I already had prepped this. I already had listened to the song. I already made sure it was working. But I quickly found it, and there was like 3 or 4 of the same song within my hard drive. And it was just like a weird thing. I didn't really know what, but I got it, and I was like, okay, cool. It's the last song. Let's throw it in there. And as I'm playing it, I heard a skip. And so I remember I had an assistant with me, and I was like, "Wait, did you hear a skip?" And he was like, "No, I didn't hear a skip." Because I was like, "Oh my God," because like, there could be faulty files. And so then, of course, the song continues to play. That's a long song, by the way. It's a longer song, and it like this file I was playing was like not as long as the real song, and so it skipped again. It skipped all the way to the end. It was just a big mess, and it was skipping. And bride was pretty upset because it was the last song, and it was an important time. And that song, how that song is. It's a big song. People want to sing along to it. And so it skipped to the end. I didn't catch it, and she was pretty upset. So it was kind of like it wasn't good at all. And I, of course, in a situation like this, of course, you want to check the music. You want to make sure you are playing the songs that you prepped, the exact files, because there are faulty files that can happen. You have to test every single song and make sure that they're not the faulty files. So that's something I should have did. This bride, and that's what I should have did. And, you don't want that to happen where, your song skips, especially if it's an important song. I mean, if that was the first dance, it would have been way, I don't know. It would have been, the bride was still very, very upset. So I don't know if it would have been worse if it was the first dance, because she was upset because it was the last song. I don't know. But in my opinion, it would have probably been worse if it was the first dance. But, it was the last song. It skipped. She was so upset that she didn't even want me to replay it. Typically in a situation like this, I would ask, hey, can you please let me play? I have the song. I prepped it. Can I please just restart, play it again? let's go. Let's have a big ending. That was what I was attempting to do in that situation, to kind of ease it. Hey, I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, this was just a faulty file. I didn't catch it. I got it. I don't not have your song. I have it. And she was just upset. So she didn't let me actually do that. So it ended up not being the best ending. And like I said, she was already kind of like, not really, she was a bride that, didn't really know about me. She wasn't sure about me even after hiring me, So it was kind of like going into the situation, she was waiting for a mistake, which, is what it is. But so I wasn't able to redeem myself, but I learned a really valuable lesson, and that is to make sure you don't play faulty files, and make sure you're checking the songs, fully, and understanding, listening to it fully to make sure it sounds the way it's supposed to sound. And it, isn't skipping a chorus. It isn't some weird thing where it skips or anything like that. So that was what I learned. And from then on out, haven't had a situation like that where the song skips, especially, an important song like the last song. So that was a very, I learned a lot with that one. So
I have a question for you, Kara. So did you ever go back to that track and see, like, do you try to replicate that situation where there was that skip? Like, did you at your own time check that file? Oh, there was a skip, or what happened there?
What do you mean? Oh yeah, I mean, there was a skip. It was a faulty file. It was just
Gotcha.
It was like literally like, I don't know if you notice this, but on Serato, when you play a song, it'll like a little lightning bolt will come up.
Oh, okay.
Faulty file, and I played it, and I actually noticed it, and that's when I was like, wait a second, and then I heard a skip, and then that's when I asked them, and sometimes they're faulty, but they still sound okay. So I was like, maybe but then I like realized, I was like, no, I gotta hurt, and I was looking for it already, and then skipped again, and I was like already like looking for the right version.
Right.
And she was. I'm telling you, this bride was like I said, in between a bridezilla,
Yeah.
To make that mistake. So it was kind of like I tried my best, and normally for a reasonable couple, you could redeem yourself in this kind of situation. Because I've had stuff like this happen where I might something else might happen. It might be a false file. It might be like I press play at the wrong cue point or whatever. And it's not quite right. And then you can go, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me replay that. I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. Let's get back to it. This is the last song, everybody. Let's get everyone, and that'll redeem it. But this client, unfortunately, wasn't really on my side from the get-go. So it was a little bit harder for me to redeem. And it was actually a wedding where I kind of had to be perfect. And I kind of failed in that, which, it is what it is, like I said. I just learned a lot from that. And, going into the event, even, this client wasn't a client that I was excited to DJ their wedding. I had a feeling we weren't going to kind of vibe. So I shouldn't have probably taken the event from the get-go, because that's important too, like vibing with your clients and feeling like, wait, can I deliver a successful event? Do they really want me? And it kind of goes with, them lowballing you. But, having that chemistry with that client, like I did not have chemistry with this client, and I probably should have, denied and just said, hey, I don't feel like we're going to mesh well. I don't feel like I'm going to be able to do the job that you want. Which is probably, a way to get out of the feeling of like, I don't know if they even like that they hired me, but, I learned from that. And now, going forward, I try to always make sure I have chemistry with my clients. I feel like I'm going to be able to do a good job for them. And then also, checking every single song and making sure that there aren't any of those mistakes at all. So, that can never happen. I'm good to go from start to finish. So, yeah.
Right. Now, that's super important, because it's kind of funny how we learned this lesson, right, about the music. But then once we think back at it, there's so many other things that could have been better. Like you said, just the chemistry about it all, and knowing, because things happen. But then it depends on the chemistry and the, I guess, personalities of the couple.
Yeah.
Where things happen. Like I've had those instances where they were like, things happen, but they were able to, hey, they're understanding. Things happen,
and that happens more of the time, right? Like, would you say, like, when something happens, you're able to kind of be like, they understand, and you can kind of backtrack. And that's part of like being a good DJ, I think, is being able to say, oh, I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen, yada. Let's get back going, and then easy peasy, get back on the right track. is, I think, a skill that, you should be able to gain so that you can make sure that if something happens, you're able to get back on track. But this was just a client that almost like there was room for no error. So,
Got it. Yeah. So,
at the very end too.
yeah. At the very end too. Yeah. Usually you want to end on a high note, but I totally get that.
I hate it, and it was at the very, very end.
Yeah.
But it was just, I was not thinking fully, and they say like when you look into your Serato, you know how it goes blue, and that means you've played it before, right?
I remember that.
So try to choose those blue songs, especially if it's a song that you haven't played in a while and you're typing through. Choose the one that's blue because you've played it before and I think that one I was thinking too quick, and I think I just threw one up, and it was a file, and I'm like, no, that was not the right one.
I think that's pretty smart. Like, and now just to for people will prevent that. Yeah, of course, obviously, like avoid the faulty files. Yeah, I think what you said. Hey, play the files that are blue if you're using Serato, so that way you played this before, you can try it out. And I know Serato Pro has the play count now, so which track it tells you how many times you played that particular track, so that's the track that you play. That's one to play. And also maybe, I don't know, like I wonder how the skip that you've experienced works. I don't know if you can like play it in one deck, cue it up only in your headphones, so that when no one hears it but you, and hear the skip for yourself, or maybe that's something where it randomly happens in that file.
For me, I mean, it's like one of those things where, I could if I would have played it before. Let's say that let's say the first or the last song is about to come up, and I just say, okay, I must play the song. Yeah, that could be an easy fix. It's just listening to it and queuing it up, listening to it, a few songs before the last song, just to make sure it's good. And that's a really good way to go, especially if it's an older song. And let's say that, or even if it's a request that's coming in, it's like an older song and you don't really know if it's going to be, a good file or not, listening to it, there is a great way to kind of avoid that. So yeah, that's a good way. Or just making sure, with what I do now is just that I get all of the important songs, I have them in a crate, and I listen to them. I listen through all of them and just make sure that they sound like the version that they're supposed to sound like. And so I make sure that I do that, and then of course refer back to that crate on the day of, and so that kind of eliminates that. It's just making sure that I always refer back to that crate instead of just looking up the song. So,
right. Nice. Well, thanks for sharing that, Kara. I think Frank says some things. I put the entire wedding program, ceremony, cocktail reception on 2 thumb drives, one as a backup in addition to my hey, this Frank guy.
Oh, Frank is on it. Frank, you're on it. You really, and you're giving us some good tips.
Yeah, okay. I'm going back to his previous comment too. He was in your communication with the planner, venue rep, photographer. It's true. That's awesome. And has a floor manager to keep him on timing. And then he has a backup, on 2 thumb drives. And then his other comment, also no longer worried about letting a wedding party know we're not a good fit.
Hey, and that's sometimes you got to go, because you don't want to be in a situation where they're not like, because some people, I don't know, like why, I don't know why sometimes people, they hire you like that. But yeah, sometimes, you want them to be excited about having. That's like always the best way to be, where, you feel like they're excited that they have you to DJ, and you feel like you're great. You have great chemistry. You're able to communicate, and you can do a good job.
Right.
50 years today. Whoa.
50 years. Oh man, I wish I have like an air horn for you, man. That's awesome. I mean, maybe in the next live stream, we can do that. Hey, congrats, Frank. That's respect, man. Respect. Yeah, and we're trying to help each other out here. So I appreciate you just sharing your thoughts on this this live stream here. Jim Sargent says, how often do you play after the scheduled end time? Stay late if you do. Would you charge more? Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, do me get my thoughts on this first, Karen, and then?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So
we're all the same.
Scheduled end time. Now it depends. It depends on the venue. Sometimes it's a hard cutoff where like no more music. Sometimes they're more flexible, and I do play music, but at a lower volume and not exactly dance music. It's more like winding down music So that way people doesn't feel that hard stop. Like they could still enjoy, saying their goodbye to their friends, their family, the bride and groom. And then I thought maybe in a span of 15 minutes, I slowly lower down the volume to signify like, hey, it's the end. But during that time, I usually have a playlist. I just leave it on. So that way, during that time, I pack up too. I talk to the bride and groom. I say farewell to some of the people there. So it really depends. I think more often I do play it, but it really depends on the venue and where you're at. But I think your question is all dependent on whether if they want to extend you like actual overtime. That's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
I think. But in terms of just playing music after scheduled end time, like no, I mean most people they rather have some kind of music afterwards than not music than no music at all. But if you do play music, just be aware about the volume levels, about if it's outdoors in neighborhoods, you don't want to, keep blasting music, or at least where the music is contained in that area so no one call the cops on you. I mean, it depends on where you're at. So yeah. And then so signify, like it really depends on what your goal is here. Is like, hey, everyone leave, then yeah, turn off the music. Or Jim Sargent says one of the best things he's found, turn the lights. Yep. That's a good point too. So that's a really good cue. And people see it's like going to a club, and after that time to go home, like it's like 1:30 at night or 1:30 in the morning, and they turn on the club lights and everyone's like, no, it's so bright. And that's a great cue. Exactly. That's a good cue. I've experienced that in the clubs too, where they raise the lights so people know to go home. But yeah, Jim, I guess it depends on what you're trying to do here. Oh, he asked if you do, would he charge more? If it's overtime, yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But if it's something where, it's background music while you pack up, I don't, just because I'm still packing up at the same time. So why not play some background music while doing that?
Have you ever had a situation where they ask you for overtime, but you know that it's not worth it and like everyone's going to leave? Like where they're like, it's like this has happened to me a few times where like, it's like the party's like really dying out and it's going to die out. But like the bride or like, even if it's just an event, the person that hired you is like having a great time and they want overtime, but like let's say it's an hour, but like people are going to be gone in like 15 minutes.
I still do it. I mean, the thing is, I still do it. And then there's some times where like,
it's going to cost this much. You're going to have to pay me that much.
There's it's totally up to them. Right. But here, I have these moments where like, oh shoot, I played all the bangers. What else am I going to play? Yeah. No, just kidding. No, there's always more. Even I, sometimes like I psych myself out like, oh, wow, they want to extend me. Like, can I do it? Like mentally, can I do it? But the reality is you can.
Yeah, you can.
Because sometimes like that's when it really tests you as a DJ. That's why you have to be a really good DJ to keep the dance floor going. Because sometimes it's not always the hits. Sometimes it's those throwbacks or whatever the energy they need at that moment. You have to be ready. So I'm surprised. I had weddings where like the staff and people who were there, like the vendors, oh man, like can we just go home? but then they're like, but the DJ is like keeping them up, right? The DJ is like keeping them excited. So in a good, it's a good thing for us, but bad thing for like all the other vendors.
I know.
Who still has to wait around for the DJ.
Yeah. That is a good point. It is a challenge, I think, because it's like funny because you'll like time out the event to perfectly, okay, this is going to be the second to last song, and then I'm going to go to this one, the last song, and then they're like, hey, can you go for another hour? And you're like, I kind of like planned everything out. Now I got to go for another hour and think of some other stuff. It's a really
happens a few times.
And that's like it's almost like a fun challenge.
It is a fun challenge, and things you surprise yourself. When you do it, there's moments where like, shoot, what am I going to play? But I found out that those are the moments that things get really crazy just because, hey, I'm here for another hour. And everyone's like, yeah. And then just continue the party.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. So maybe instead of an hour, maybe you could probably suggest, hey, why don't, let's feel out for, let's send for another 30 minutes. Feel that out. It's $100 for 30 minutes. And then if you want to send it for the full hour, then we can do that as well.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go because you definitely don't want it to be. I mean, I don't like it when they ask for another hour and then everyone leaves and then you're like, you kind of feel like, dang, that you're paying me for the extra overtime and you agreed on that. And yet everyone just left. And so I try to like, for me, when they ask for that, I'm like, you know, just kind of say, okay, maybe we'll do 30 or are you sure you want this? This is how much it's going to be. And just to make sure that they're like managing expectations, kind of going back to that,
right.
Making sure that they know, like, it might not be like people might be ready to go home, you know? So it's kind of like, that's like one of those things. But of course, if it's rage and it's a great time and they ask for another hour, like, of course.
Oh, and more often the reason why they ask for overtime is because of that. Because hey, everyone's still having a great time.
Right.
They extended me. So that's I think that's a huge compliment too.
Yeah.
To the DJ. But I sometimes it also depends on the venue.
Yeah.
If they allow that kind of thing and the staff involved to actually, you know, continue that. But I don't know. For me, I feel kind of excited, like, oh wow, this is like an extra, like I'm still having fun.
Yeah.
I'm still getting paid a lot, but yeah, the only downside is that you have to still pack home and drive at the night. So it's yeah. So but anyways, that's really great. Frank says you have to make sure the venue doesn't charge the wedding party more if manager is charged before the end.
True. That's another thing. And I always try to ask, that's actually a good point, because you should always ask, like, hey, is the venue going to allow this? Like, because a lot of times they come up to you, right? Sure, like they'll come up to you first and be like, hey, can you go an extra hour?
Yeah.
You know?
And then I look at the venue managers too, because they're turning on the lights.
You can't do that.
Yeah. Just like they're turning on the lights, right? And then like, okay, wait, can I? Sometimes I remember particularly they say one more song. One more.
That happens a lot.
That happened? Like no.
You know how like that happens when it's like I'm sorry, I'm like just getting excited because it'll be like a hard stop and you know it, and then everyone's like, one more song.
Yeah.
You literally have to just like be like, I'm so sorry, y'all. Like, and at that point, it's just like I'll play like low music as like that. You know, like I'm trying my best.
Maybe like I want to experiment this, and I think this could be an idea for everyone out there. Is, you know, like we like if they want no music, we can turn off the music, right? But then I could shout, and then I could do the I could start an a cappella to a song, or I can stomp, clap, and then after that chant a verse that everyone can just follow, whether it's the bride and groom's names or something like where everybody can do a cappella, like some kind of thing where it's not amplified through speakers, but it's the interaction with you and your guests that last moment. If they wanted something like
different. That's a great idea. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's one thing, because I remember two weddings that I've done where they sang a cappella, and they were still having a great time, even though I didn't play it last song. But it was fun. It was really fun. So here's the thing, like to wrap things up, I know we went beyond our time a lot, and we thank everybody for watching this here, is that, you know, there's a lot of mistakes that we've done, but we learn from them, right? And that's the thing, as a DJ, we're always going to have our lows just as much as we're going to have our highs, and hopefully more highs than lows, right? But when we do have those moments where we do mess up, it's how we pick ourselves up afterwards to make sure that doesn't happen again. And we're really hoping that, you know, you guys really took some valuable information on here, and I hope you really guys enjoyed this conversation that Kara and I had, so that way you don't repeat the same mistakes, really from the bottom of our hearts. Like, this is something vulnerable a little bit, just because not a lot of people know these stories, but it's super important that people do know them, so that way people understand the importance of the DJ and just how the event industry works, especially not just for you DJs out there, but also for all the couples out there, just to understand why this is so important, because this is their day. One day that only happens, and everything has to go right. So we're just sharing our experience, and we do appreciate the experience that you guys put down in the chat as well. Frank Anderson and with some other people out there. Jim Sargent, you guys are the, you do. Hey, you're welcome. Frank Anderson, thank you. Great work. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate you having you on here. Thanks for being a teacher for 50 years. That's amazing, man. Keep it up.
That's awesome.
Keep it up. But before we go, put it down in the chat. Is there anything else that you want us to cover up in our next live talk on YouTube? We had a few ideas. I think one of them was like some MC tips that we can share, right? I think
that one's a really good one, because I definitely could second that, and we can get into that for sure.
You're just getting comfortable.
Let us know if you want to go into how to better these skills.
We can do that. I mean, we can also talk about other lessons that we've learned. I mean, we just share with you our top 3 that I guess like that came to mind, but obviously there's more. And we want to make this very, topic based, so that way we can help you guys out, whatever you guys are struggling with. But follow DJ Kara if you haven't done so already. DJ.Kara, right, on IG?
Yeah, DJ.Kara on Instagram at DJ.Kara. Cool. I'll get my YouTube started soon. I hope, maybe.
Okay, so I'm putting down in the banner, and then I'll put mine too at DJ_Mojo. This is really cool. Yeah, we're using StreamYard, by the way. Too. There it is. So you see it down below. DJ Kara, DJ Mojo. Follow us. I think someone in the chat says the party DJ Marcus. What's up from down under in Australia? Wow. What's up, man?
Oh.
A lot of venues want you out by a certain time after the guests have vacated. If you're packing your equipment by yourself, it comes a rush. Yes, it does. That's why it's good to have an assistant with you.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Jim Sargent, love to have you go over new equipment that may be coming out. Always interested in what's new. You know what? I love new equipment. I think, to be honest, on my end, I haven't been like up to date with new equipment. I'm happy with mine. I mean, as much as I would love to go over new equipment, I'm not sure if I'm exactly qualified about it to actually really help you with that. I know a lot of DJs out there. You can probably watch a DJ Bar, DJ I think City, and some other DJ people on YouTube, or maybe Kara. I don't know. You can talk about gear, new equipment.
I don't get. I mean, I'm not the expert when it comes to gear, but
yeah. Yeah, we're just being upfront and honest with you, Jim. Like, sure, we can go over it, but I don't think you'll get the best information from us. When it comes to new equipment, and like, because it's new equipment, like we haven't tested ourselves, so our information is only very limited to the information that's given to us about that. So that's the thing. But we were more than happy to talk about our experiences, DJing, business, marketing, maybe possibly sales or anything like that to help you grow as a DJ. But follow us on Instagram, stay connected, and then let us know what you'd like to hear next time for about 2 weeks from now, right, Kara, or so?
Yeah, 2 weeks from now. Let's go for it. I don't know what the date is, but I think early February.
I also want to put down really quick, Kara, are you on Clubhouse, by the way? Have you heard?
No.
Okay, get on there. Okay, it's invite only. I'll invite you. Okay, but people, if you're on Clubhouse, I definitely do recommend it. I'm going to put it up here on the banner. My Clubhouse is it's Joe Rivera. Add me there. It's a great way to communicate that way as well. So,
is that like a Discord kind of thing?
I'm sorry.
What is that? Is it like is it like Discord or like where you just come talk?
Yeah, it's like Zoom, but through audio only, and it's like an online conference where there's so many topics that you can get involved with. People can start different rooms on different topics, so that way you can discuss that and invite different speakers on there, or you can just listen. It's really great, really great. Darren, what's up, man? Hey, appreciate you. Oh, I didn't know you're watching this, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for being here. We really do appreciate all of this.
Yeah. So follow us. Hope this has been very helpful. This is definitely going to be up on the replay. And other than that, we wish everybody, please be safe out there. Crush it at your events, obviously when things go up and running again. But I'm DJ Mojo, and this is
DJ Kara.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time. All right, take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. All right, bye.